99% of women are turned on when you say these 5 things. And the first one is something that a lot of guys may have on their mind, right? If you think about what's something that you could say that would turn a woman on, what turns women on? I'll say this one first to get it out of the way before we get into the more serious ones, right? So the first thing that will turn 99% of women on is saying, hey, I just won the lottery. Everyone knows that a very rich man is attractive to a woman, but what's something that you can say with who you are right now, right, without winning the lottery and having that 1 in 50 million chance or 100 million chance, depending on what country you're living in? What's something that you can say right now with who you are that makes a woman feel turned on? Well, I'm going to give you 4 examples that have been tested thousands of times. And in case you're wondering how they've been tested that many times, it began with me figuring out how to naturally attract women, figuring out what type of non-physical traits and behaviors to display when interacting with a woman that would attract her naturally, right, with who I was right then and there. Because back then, I was driving an old Toyota Corolla, I was working in a low-level office job at the time, and I started to get promoted, by the way, as I started to figure out these non-physical traits that actually attract women, right? When you figure these things out, it not only makes women feel attracted to you, but you then start to become more competent socially and emotionally, and that can result in you getting promoted, right? So in my case, that did result in promotions, but I eventually left and I took guys out every weekend for 3 years, and I showed them how to meet women and how to attract women naturally, right? So I did that, I ran seminars, and now I run the Master Attraction community, where guys from all over the world are learning my natural methods for attracting women, and they're getting results like this, where they have sex with women on the first night, they kiss women within minutes of meeting them, they get themselves a girlfriend very easily, and so on. What I'm about to teach you now has been tested hundreds of times by me in my personal life, and many more times that by clients that I've taught these secrets to over the years. So the second example of what you can say that turns 99% of women on when you say it is to say, no. How about that? When to say it? When she's being playfully unreasonable, she's playfully trying to get her way, she's playfully pushing your boundaries to see how you respond. So when a guy's interacting with a woman that he finds attractive, it's not always going to be the case that she's just going to be nice and easy and friendly all the way. Instead, she's going to want to see if he is the sort of guy that she's going to easily walk all over. If he's essentially going to be a pushover, a walk in the park for her. There's going to be no challenge for her with him because he looks at her as being this attractive woman. He's so amazed by her, and he's willing to do anything that she wants and agree with anything that she wants to talk about just so he can hopefully get a chance with her. And what women will do, especially if they're attractive, is that they'll playfully challenge you at times. They'll playfully push your boundaries to see how you're going to respond. Are you just going to allow her to get her way? Are you going to allow her to be unreasonable with how she's interacting with you and just put up with it to hopefully impress her? Or if, for example, she's asking you to do something unreasonable, do you have the confidence, the emotional independence? And emotional independence means that how you feel is based on what you think, on what you decide. It's not based on what she's saying or doing. Right? You have that emotional independence. Do you have the confidence and the emotional independence to be able to say to her, no, how about that? And she then sees that you're only playfully saying that, right? You're not saying it in an angry way or a resentful way or an emotionally triggered way where you might say something like, no, right? And she's got you triggered there, right? She's pushed a little bit to see if you're going to crack, if you're going to crumble under the pressure, and you're already starting to become emotional or annoyed or irritated. Not that most guys are going to react like that. Instead, most guys are just going to want to do what she wants them to do. Or they're going to say, oh, well, yeah, I suppose, yeah, okay, and just do what she wants to do. And then she realizes that, okay, she's got a lot of power over that guy. And it doesn't mean that you can't do anything that a woman wants to do, right? You have to disagree with everything that a woman suggests. No. All the time. No, how about that? No, how about that? Every time she says something, instead, when it's appropriate, and you'll be able to sense that, when it's appropriate, where she's being playfully unreasonable or playfully pushing your boundaries, you have the confidence and emotional independence to be able to say to her, no, how about that? And she sees that you're only being playful, right? But of course, she can also just say no, right? When she says something, you don't have to say, how about that? But the how about that, adding that in, lets her see that you're only being playfully challenging there, right? She realizes that you're just messing with her and it's on between you and her now, right? She can see that you can handle a bit of playful pressure from her where she's playfully pushing your boundaries. She's playfully testing to see if you're going to crumble under the pressure and just do whatever she wants, or if you're a guy who actually has a backbone and has the social intelligence to understand what's going on, right? She's being playfully unreasonable, or she's pushing your boundaries, or she's testing to see if you're just going to let her get her way because you're hoping to get a chance with her, because you don't feel like you have any value in comparison to her, right? She's the attractive woman, the pretty girl, and you've got to hopefully try to do everything that she wants in order to get a chance with her. She doesn't want that type of dynamic. She wants a guy who recognizes his own value and has the confidence to be able to say to her, no, how about that? And to help you understand why saying that turns a woman on is that it creates an obstacle in between you and her, right? So when a man and a woman are attracted to each other and there's an obstacle in between them getting together and kissing and having sex, it creates sexual tension. And a classic example is the farmer's daughter, right? So if you can imagine, a farmer has a pretty daughter who's 19 years old, and a guy comes to work at the farm and he's maybe 23, and the young guy and the daughter are looking at each other, and the farmer notices, and he's a very protective father. And then he says, I want you working hard on the farm here, coming here on time every day, but the number one rule I have, stay away from my daughter, right? She's out of bounds. The farmer's actually making things worse for himself in that moment, because the daughter and the guy are attracted to each other, and now there's an obstacle in between them getting to kissing and sex, and they then feel kind of naughty and bad about looking at each other now and feeling attracted to each other, and they're giving each other eyes all the time, and the tension is building, and they just want each other even more now, right? So that's an example of how sexual tension is created. So when you're talking to a woman, it's important that you don't try to just clear away all obstacles to the point of you and her kissing and having sex, unless, of course, you're a very confident guy and you know how to walk over to a woman and make her feel very attracted and turned on by your confidence and body language. That's a very advanced level. But for most guys, they're going to need to create some sexual tension in another way. And one of the ways to do it is to put a playful obstacle in between you and the woman. And in this case, it's being able to say to her, no, how about that? Right? So rather than just doing everything that she wants, you're playfully putting a bit of an obstacle in between you and her progressing as a potential couple. And that creates sexual tension because she's feeling attracted to your confidence, to your social intelligence, to the fact that you're emotionally independent, you're not needy, and you're able to do that sort of thing and make her feel that type of way where she's feeling a bit challenged. And she's thinking, who is this guy, right? I like him. He's not just doing whatever I want in order to hopefully get a chance. This guy actually has a backbone, and he's not being butthurt about it. He's not being a prick about it. He's just being playful about it. So it's fun, right? It's not about saying to the woman, no, how about that? And being aggressive or annoyed about it. It's just done in a playful way. The next example, just because you're being nice to me, it doesn't mean you get to sleep with me tonight. When to say it? When she's complimenting you, acting extra sweet, or being unusually agreeable. So in the previous example, she was being playfully unreasonable, right? She was challenging you. But in this example, it's the complete opposite. She's being really nice to you now. What are you going to say when a woman's being really nice to you, unusually agreeable, unusually nice and sweet? What most guys will do is that they'll notice that the woman's being extra sweet and nice to them, so they'll end up copying her behavior and they'll be really nice and sweet to her. And that can work out if it's one of those situations where you're just getting lucky and you don't know why it's happening, but the woman really likes you for some reason. But in pretty much every other case, when you're interacting with a woman that you find attractive, if she's being really nice and sweet to you, and then you're being really nice and sweet to her, it will sometimes end up with her feeling a bit bored and the spark will start to die out, right? So you've got to be aware of how to actually keep the spark alive and not just be having a nice, neutral, forgettable type of conversation. Because if you're interacting with a woman like that and another guy comes into the interaction and he starts making her feel turned on, she may end up feeling like the conversation with you is feeling a bit boring and there's not much of a spark with you and her. And she may end up thinking that a relationship might feel a bit boring in the long run, but the other guy who knows how to flirt with her and how to turn her on when he starts talking to her and when he's interacting with her seems like he might be a better option for now and even in the long term, because he seems like he might be able to keep the spark alive in a relationship. So it's important that you understand how to create sexual tension and how to turn women on, rather than just thinking that if you're just going to be nice and neutral, then the spark is going to remain alive in an initial interaction, and when you start dating a woman and in a long-term relationship. You've got to understand how to actually turn women on. So if you say something like, just because you're being nice to me, it doesn't mean you get to sleep with me tonight. The reason why it works is that you flip the expected roles, where it's usually the man who is trying and hoping to get to have sex with the woman. Instead of chasing her in that typical expected way, you playfully suggest that she's trying to win you over. She's trying to sleep with you. So when you say to a woman, just because you're being nice to me, it doesn't mean you get to sleep with me tonight, okay? The woman knows that you're joking, but at the same time it hits, right? She realizes that you're not being a typical guy who is trying to hopefully jump through all of her hoops to hopefully get to have sex with her. You're a guy who has the social intelligence to be aware of the fact that guys are usually like that, and that women find it incredibly funny and interesting and exciting when a guy actually flips the roles, and he has the confidence to do that. He's not afraid of her potentially reacting in a negative way and saying, no, I'm not trying to sleep with you. I don't want you. I'm not even attracted to you. He's not afraid of that sort of stuff, because when you actually say these sort of things to women, they don't react in that type of way. They may say that in a playful way, but they're only saying it in a playful way, right? It's not a serious way. You don't get seriously rejected by a woman for saying something like this, because when you say something like that, it takes a lot of confidence to say it. It takes social intelligence. And both of those things are attractive to women. They're non-physical traits that attract women. It also takes emotional independence, where you're not needy. You're not desperate to try to get a result with her. You're so non-needy. You're so confident in yourself. You're so socially intelligent and relaxed and in control of the situation that you can say something like, hey, just because you're being really nice to me, it doesn't mean you get to sleep with me, all right? And the woman's jaw usually then drops. She can't believe that you're saying something like that. Guys don't say things like that. They just put on their best behavior to hopefully get a chance with the woman, and it's all up to the woman now. She gets to decide if he's going to get a chance with her, but you're playfully putting yourself in the position, right? It's not an arrogant comment where you're being arrogant to her, but you're playfully putting yourself in the position where you're playfully being a bit arrogant. It's not real arrogance, it's just playful. But you're playfully putting yourself in the position as the guy who is the selector, and she's trying to seduce you. She's trying to hook up with you. She's trying to be really nice to you, be extra sweet, so she gets to take a ride. It's like, hey, just because you're being really nice to me tonight, it doesn't mean you get to sleep with me, okay? And because she understands that it's a joke, women get it, they understand it, she then feels like the interaction with you is exciting, it's fun, it's challenging, it's interesting. And even though she knows it's a joke, she realizes that you're not chasing. She realizes that she's going to have to turn on her charms if she wants to sleep with you, if she wants to get you out on a date and get into a relationship with you. And that puts her in a frame of mind now where she's looking at you as the guy that she wants. And as a result, she starts to feel turned on by that. She starts to feel turned on about the idea of having sex with you. And in many cases, the woman will then start to get touchy-feely. She'll start to show more interest because she wants to be able to get to that point with you. The next example is, you're flirting with me. That's cute. So when to say it, she gives you a look that suggests she is attracted to you or likes you. She touches you and seems giddy, or she lightly teases you. Why it works? It demonstrates social and emotional intelligence, an awareness of flirting, confidence, and also that you're being a bit of a challenge. You're essentially one step ahead. She's exposed a little, and that turns her on. Now, a line like this doesn't work if a guy is being nervous and insecure and timid, and he seems afraid when he's interacting with a woman, right? So it only works if you deliver it with confidence, if you really are relaxed and believe in yourself when you're interacting with her, because women aren't attracted to insecurity and fear and nervousness. So if a guy said something like, oh, you're flirting with me, that's cute, right? That's not going to work, because the woman can see that he's nervous and afraid and fearful while saying it. So it's not going to land. But if the guy said, you're flirting with me, that's cute, then she sees that he's confident, and that makes her feel attracted. Confidence triggers attraction inside of women naturally. It's an automatic reaction. Attraction is a reaction to attractive traits. When you display traits that are naturally attractive to women, they feel attracted to you. But when you display traits that turn women off, they feel turned off. Right? It's very simple. And that's why a lot of guys who try to learn a line and then say it won't be able to make it work, because the woman can sense the fear, the nervousness, the insecurity. The guy is timid, he's afraid. Right? And he is saying it as a line that he may have read on the internet somewhere, or someone may have told him, and he's hoping that it just does all the work for him, the line. But The line is important. What you're saying is important, but you've got to back it up with traits that are actually attractive to women. So with this line, if you say it properly, if you say it when you're displaying attractive traits, what happens is that the woman really enjoys the fact that you have the social intelligence, the emotional intelligence, the awareness to understand and notice these little moments that are going on. Because a lot of men are blind to a woman's flirting. They don't really understand what the woman is doing, right? Is she interested in me, or is she just being nice? Right? Is she the sort of girl who's like this with everyone, or does she really like me? And the thing is, women aren't black and white in the way that they flirt. They flirt in all sorts of different ways, depending on the woman's confidence level. Some women are insecure. Some women are anxious. Some women are worried about getting rejected. So they flirt in very subtle ways. And other women flirt in a more obvious way, right? When you hear examples of flirting, it'd be like, oh, the woman touches your arm or she touches your leg. But that sometimes happens, but it doesn't happen with every woman. Sometimes a woman will try to flirt with you by simply giving you a couple of compliments in a row, right? She is afraid to show any other type of flirting, but that's as much as she can do because she's afraid of getting rejected. She's quite shy and anxious, and she doesn't want to put herself out more than that in case she shows a lot of interest and then you reject her and she's going to feel horrible about herself. So the most she's going to offer you is a couple of compliments in a row, or maybe 3 compliments in a row. And if you get 3 compliments in a row from her, it's a perfect opportunity to say something like, oh, you're flirting with me. That's cute. And she is then happy and excited that you understand what's going on. She likes you, right? She doesn't want to make it too obvious, but the fact that you're aware of what's going on and that you've acknowledged it and you've said she's cute now makes her feel more confident, right? She knows that you know that she's flirting and that you find her cute. So, okay, now she's feeling excited. Now she starts to feel more turned on. Yet it also works with a confident woman where she is flirting with you in whatever way she is, and you have the confidence to say that to her, which most guys will never have the confidence to say that to an attractive woman who is confident that she's flirting with them. How dare they think that this attractive woman who is confident is actually going to be flirting with them? Yet the thing is, many attractive women struggle to find themselves a boyfriend because most guys assume that they have absolutely no chance. And that's something that I figured out when I was out there meeting attractive women and getting with models, and even sometimes getting with women who work as a catwalk model. Right? And many guys are just afraid of them. They think that they've got absolutely no chance. Right? But she is feeling attracted to you in the moment. You're making her feel attracted. She's enjoying the attraction that she's feeling. You have a chance. Shoot your shot. And the final example is say please. When to say it. She's asking for something, for example, your jacket, a sip of your drink, or help with something. Why it works. You're not just giving in to her. You're playfully making her work for it. So you're interacting with a woman whether you're single or in a relationship, right? And she is asking for your help. And it's, of course, not something that you're going to say in every interaction with her. It may become a running joke between you and her, that's fine, but you don't have to say it all the time. It's just something that you can add in. And that is, she's asking for your help with something. And rather than just saying, oh, yeah, okay, I'll be her savior. I'll just do whatever this woman wants. And, I'll show her how much I care. And hopefully if she sees that I'm a really caring guy and I just give and give and give, then she's going to let me have sex with her. Or then she's going to really like me. Then she's going to love me more. And the thing is, there's absolutely nothing wrong with helping a woman, being a good guy and all that sort of stuff. But if you want to create some sexual tension and turn her on, put that playful obstacle in between you and her, right? Be a little bit playfully challenging at times, to the point where she asks you to help her with something and you say please, or some variation of that, where you're being confident and she can see that you're being playful with it, right? You're not saying, say please, right? I'm not doing it unless you say please, of course. It's not something like that. And it's also not say please, of course, with that raising up your pitch at the end there, like a question. Instead, you're just confidently and playfully telling her to say please. And one of the reasons why that works is that the woman feels your authority in the moment in a fun way, right? She senses that you're able to be that authority figure. You're able to be that guy who's in the one-up position and not in the one-down position with her, or just being an equal all the time. We're just friends. We're just getting along. We're just neutral. Instead, you're able to have that authority of being a man, but you're doing it in a playful way, in a fun way, in a loving way, right? It's not in a demeaning way, an angry way, or an upset way, or anything like that. It's just in a fun way. And the woman then feels turned on by that. Women feel turned on when they feel like they want to submit to a man and do what he wants them to do. That turns them on. And by the way, if you enjoyed what you learned in this video, then you will love what I teach at Master Attraction in my Attraction Mastery video lesson series. Every month I teach you 2 new non-physical traits that make women feel sexually and romantically attracted to you. And I give you a unique technique for each non-physical trait. And I give you examples of what to say in all of the lessons except for the lesson on confidence, which is the first lesson. And it's something that is a complete game changer. It's not about what to say, it's a mindset. And this is what guys say about it, right? It's absolutely incredible what happens when you have this mindset. Women suddenly start to feel attracted to you. Another guy talks about it in this way, where women felt drawn to him, and he ended up getting 2 results in that night. Another guy said it's a complete game changer. And the second lesson is on emotional masculinity, and that includes examples of what to say. And this is what a guy experienced after watching just the first 2 lessons that are available, right? He was overwhelmed by the beauty, the attractiveness of the woman that he attracted. He couldn't believe it, but he did it, right? It's something that you can do right away. When you start displaying traits that attract women, they feel attracted to you. As you continue to learn, it just gets better and better to the point where guys are getting results like this. Not that you need to do that, right? You don't need to sleep with new women multiple days in a row, but that's the sort of power you have when you're naturally attractive to women, when you actually know how to make women want you sexually and romantically, right? When you're not just guessing anymore, when you're not hoping to hopefully get lucky, instead you actually know what you're doing. So if you're interested in learning those exclusive techniques that I'll never be able to share on YouTube because I've put them into my Attraction Mastery video lesson series, then head over to masterattraction.com. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video here on YouTube.